Hey everybody, I'm standing at a 3,500 square foot house that we're building. I want to teach you guys 5 basic steps in this video on how to build a house. But we all know it's not very basic anyways, so let's go over 5 basic steps for building a house. Let's do it. The first basic thing to building a house is your land. You got two kind of choices. You can either be in like a subdivision or you can have something out in the country. If you get in a subdivision, your permit costs are going to be generally higher than if you're in the country. You're going to be hooking up to sewer, you're going to be hooking up to city water. Power is going to be generally about the same procedure as the county, unless if you're in the country. Unless in the country you're just really far off the road. Ultimately in the city, your house footprint's going to have to be a little bit smaller, usually, if you're in a subdivision, whereas in the country it can be a little bigger. If you're in the country, you can usually get bigger land. You can do maybe a bigger house or maybe a bigger ranch house. You're going to have a septic cost, you're going to have a well cost. Power is generally more expensive because you got to go a farther distance. I prefer to build in the country. I'd rather not build in a subdivision if I can. This particular one that we're building in here is a gated community, very private, and the lots are very big. You know, 10,000 square foot is kind of the smallest lot. But land is a very big first part in building a home, and really determines the design of the house, your cost of the house. So let's move on to the next part, basic part. So once you've taken the land into consideration with your design, then you can move on to actually designing the house. A lot of times nowadays, you know, anybody can find a pretty simple plan that they kind of like online, and then like our system is, we take that plan and then alter it a little bit for people. That works really well. Once you've got your plan established, then you can work on colors and materials and specifications inside the plan. Now as you get into permits, which is a pretty big part of the whole process, here where we are, permits can take anywhere from 3 months to a year, even longer. One of the big holdups on permit is septic systems. So if you buy a lot in town, you might not need a septic system because you can hook up to your local city sewer, and then you have to pay a fee for that. Permit costs can go a lot higher in the city because you're paying for the right to hook up to the sewer or the water, and that can really change the cost. We've had jurisdictions where we pay upwards to $21,000 just for the right to hook up to water and sewer, and then we still have to pay to actually hook it up. So septic, sewer can be a big deal in the country when you don't have a sewer system to hook up to. Your permit costs are less, but now you have to install a septic system, which can be anywhere from $7,000 to $40,000, depending on the land that you're on, whether there's wetlands, wet land, or if the land is dry and drains well and you can use a standard system. It can be a very inexpensive system. The more expensive systems are usually for smaller areas where there's water, and we don't want to contaminate the rivers. So septic's a huge deal to consider, whether you're in town or you have a big property out in the country. As we get into permits, there's applications and zoning. The zoning, we've been using that all along in the plans to make sure that the plans are lining up with the zoning requirements. Zoning is similar to in a neighborhood at your homeowners association. It's kind of the same thing. In a homeowners association, there's zoning rules, and so the city has the same rules. You know, we all want our neighborhood or our city to look a certain way, and so that's why we have zoning rules, or a homeowners association that requires a certain look or a certain feel of a development. And then so as we're going through the permitting process, the permitting agencies, they're looking at your septic, water, structural review, then your interior electrical and plumbing and mechanical. Their ultimate goal is for safety, that no one's getting hurt in the house falling down stairs, railings, safety guards, and then also that we're not polluting with our septic, and then they're also looking for energy requirements. Today, energy requirements are a huge deal, so really making the cost of a house go up. So that kind of wraps number 2 up, plans, design, permits, and now we'll roll into 3, which is rough structure. So now we're into 3, rough structure of building a house. The third basic process of building a house. Of course, none of this stuff is real basic, but we're trying to make it simple. So once we've gotten our permits and everything and we're ready to start building the house, excavation, it's personally my favorite portion of the project. I'm just a kid that loves to drive machines. So I love getting in there and moving some dirt. So we move some dirt. Of course, when we move the dirt, before we move the dirt, we do have to make erosion control measures to make sure that we're not letting our mud and everything go down the street, contaminating or just making a mess of the street. Then we move into foundation. We're unique. We do excavation and foundation together. So a lot of times we're setting up our forms before the excavation's even done. We can put a 2,500 square foot house foundation in the first week after we got a permit. We can go excavation, foundation, do it all in a week. Not every time, but that's kind of a fun thing we're able to do here at His Builders. Once we got the foundation in, then one of the most iconic parts of the whole building process starts, which is framing. Everybody loves to watch framing. It's fast, it's big, and you can really get a feel for what the house is going to look like. The spatial awareness. It's a pretty fun part of the whole process. And then once we've got it framed and we have the sheeting on, now we're inside. We start with plumbing. So plumbing's first. Plumbing has to take a certain route. Plumbers can't just, water flows downhill. It doesn't flow uphill. So we do plumbing first. Then we like to have mechanical come in second, because mechanical, they just blow air, but they can go around things a little easier than plumbing can. And then after those 2 trades are done, we bring in electrical. Electrical is usually the final one. Then we're on to rough structure inspections. So that's a big portion of the project where we're getting everything inspected before we insulate and before drywall goes on. And the last part of rough structure is insulating. Insulating today is a pretty big deal with all the energy measures that we're trying to do to get a house efficient. I'm a practical guy. I'm not really a green guy. I want to build a real practical house. So the green methods of building, they are great. They really seal a house up. For instance, now the code's requiring us to seal the house so tight that now they want me to bring fresh air in through the furnace. So it just seems counterintuitive. You know, you seal a house up so tight, you make it so energy efficient, but now we need to bring air in from the outside to keep it fresh without acclimatizing that air. So we just, we keep making a house more expensive to build. The general public doesn't like our price going up. But hey, your energy bill will be $50 less. Number 4, full enclosure, the 4th basic of building a house. So you can see behind me, we've got siding, windows, trim, house wrap, roofing. We don't have the gutters on yet, but generally the full enclosure is everything out of the rough structure. So the sheathings on the house create the exterior envelope of the house. The weatherproofing envelope is the full enclosure. On this house here we have hardy plank, and it's actually pre-painted, which is kind of cool, so we're not going to have to paint the hardy plank. Before we can put the siding on, we want to install windows and doors. Windows today, this is 2022, summer 2022. We're taking 3 months to get windows. Just a couple years ago, we were able to order windows and have them in 10 business days. So we're ordering windows usually when we're getting a permit, because we need windows, within a month to 3 months after getting a permit. So we're really ordering windows quite early in the process nowadays. Roofing, this house has architectural shingles on, asphalt architectural shingles. One of the final things that we put on a house even, period, is gutters. Well, sometimes we try to get them on earlier, but usually they go on last so we can get all the painting and everything done. And So that kind of wraps up the outside of the house. So number 5 is finishes. And the 5th basic of a house. Boy, this one's not very basic. But it starts with drywall. Then we move into interior trim, flooring, cabinetry, tile shower stalls. Tile shower stalls, they are beautiful. We all love them, but they're very expensive. A tile shower stall over just your typical fiberglass tub insert is almost 10 times the cost on just entry-level cost. Plumbing fixtures are coming after your countertops and all your tiles in. After the drywall's in, textured and painted, then we get the electrician back in and he installs all lighting fixtures, plugs. After we've got all the subcontractors taken care of, you've got your electrical, plumbing, mechanicals come in and put all the vents on top of the registers. The final thing is inspections. And we have to get a final inspection on all the trades, all 3 of them, the electrical, plumbing, mechanical. Got to get them finaled. After they're finaled, then we call on a final inspection. The final inspection, their main goals, they're looking for smoke detectors, they're looking for railings, they're looking for steps, that are steps. We have the egress in and out of the house is proper. And once we have all those things lined up, we can get an occupancy permit and move in. Thanks for watching the 5 basic steps of building a house. Even though we all know building a house isn't very basic, it's quite complicated. So like this video if you do, subscribe if you haven't, and come build with us. See you in the next one.